Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliette Clark, and today we have one of our magazine's newest contributors, Sara Burke, and Sarah's going to talk to us about content. So I'm super excited about it because this is the piece that you use to build your author platform before the book ever comes out. But before we get started with Sarah's introduction, I want to remind you, go over and get your free subscription to Breakthrough Author Magazine. You can find that at www.breakthroughauthormagazine.com. After you subscribe, you can take that quick quiz and find out, are you ready or do you have some pieces that are missing with your book writing, publishing, marketing, platform building, whatever piece is there that you have to have all of these pieces integrated. See if there's something you're missing. Also, if you're somebody who likes to watch the videos, go over to YouTube and subscribe to Super Brand Publishing. So Sara Burke is an international content expert and is the founder of HLCC, a content creation firm dedicated to boosting small businesses around the world. Sara has authored 3 books and ghostwritten over 100 books, eBooks, and workbooks. Sara recently launched the New American Dream, a podcast dedicated to helping business owners understand how our changing business ecosystem can support their success. So now that I've introduced her, here comes the interview.
So here's Sara.
Hey.
I did your introduction earlier. So let's jump into this. Okay. We've been talking a lot about author platform building. And I know you and I talk all the time about the big thing authors say is, I don't have time. And they're not doing it.
Yep. Yes. So, you know what I think is crazy? It's like the things that we really don't prioritize are the things that ultimately make us successful and help us sell books and help us establish our authority. So not having time can't be a reason to not do it, because you're going to just be constantly spinning your wheels. But I know something you and I do talk about all the time is, if it goes on your to-do list and it stays on your to-do list, you're not getting to it, you have to delegate that out. You have to find someone that can come in, and it doesn't have to be the whole piece. You made a really good point actually about podcasting. Like, okay, you go through the whole process of recording and you need editing. Okay, so do every piece around that and then hire someone to edit. You know, bring someone in to do even the chunks that you can't do. I always say, like, if I'm 2 weeks in and something is on my to-do list and it's been there and it's not going away, I delegate it. I do not let it sit there because I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, that is so true. Now, you write all of my content, and I had to get overwhelmed before I did it. We have grown so rapidly in the last 3 years that I had to make a decision about what to let go. So When we're talking about delegation, first of all, when you have that book, the platform items, you have to do the market research. You have to have your messaging down and aligned with your products and services. And then the content comes on. So let's talk a little bit about, the delegation, because there are so many pieces that bring the author platform together. And I think where we struggle is that we have to keep our eye on the money maker. Mm-hmm. What is it you do every day? So talk a little bit about that delegation and the kinds of things that you have to keep your focus on and you have to let go.
Well, okay, let's go back one step. Because I think we throw these words around and they kind of get buzzwordy in the sense that we kind of gloss over and we're not attaching meaning to those things, right? So your author platform, right? This is your ability to sell books based on 2 things, who you are and who you know, right? So the very first step that we're looking at, who you are. And who you are is your message. That's your brand. That's every piece of content you create. Every piece of content that you're creating has to attach to one of those 2 things, right? So that's the first step. And I think like you said, your target audience, like if you're not totally clear on that, you're not going to have your messaging. And if you don't have your messaging, you're never going to create effective content. And so to me, I think a lot of authors get stuck in that place right there, and they don't know what to say. And content does take a long time, and it is not effective because they have not built the platform, it's not there. So going back to that, I would say, if you know who you are, you have your messaging, your audience down pat, you have your messaging down pat, and then you start looking at content, one, it becomes so much easier to create, okay? But two, when it comes to delegation, you could easily say to someone like me or who you hire to come in, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is an idea I have, and they can really run with that. And I think also people don't realize when they're trying to delegate, you don't have to have all 10 pieces lined up in a row. If you have an idea, someone comes to me and says, I want to write about this, or I want to focus on this, I can turn that into 10, 20 pieces of beautiful content for you that matches and aligns with your messaging. So that's a really lengthy way of me saying, if your brand and messaging are solid and you come to me and you're ready to delegate, you've decided you're not going to get it done, you don't have to have everything all together. So you have to start somewhere, and it doesn't have to be perfect and so well planned and thought out.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to something you said for a minute. Where I see people get really hung up, and you have to know yourself, like really know yourself. So you're not going to be able to sell products and services unless you are authentic. And I know the word authentic is completely overused, but I'm going to give you a great example why Sara and I work together so well. There are probably many people who do what we do, but people hire me because of who I am. So if I'm out there and I'm not being myself and I'm a ball buster, then, but that's why people hire me.
Yes, you are.
Accountable. I'm going to keep them on track. There are many people who do what I do, but people looking for that are action people hire. That's why I hire you. You need little to no delegation, which is not something I'm good at. I'm a ball buster. I get people into action, but as far as me, I don't want to tell my staff what to do much. It's just, here it is, go do it. Yeah. So that's where you have to get really authentic. Like, what is your brand about? Are you an action? Are you a hand holder? Are you, somebody who's a good marketer and just, to hell with y'all, you signed up and you get what you get. And I don't really care if you're a repeat customer. So, be whoever you're going to be, but be that person.
Yes. And be okay being that person, because we see so much online. We see so many influencers. We see so many authors, and we think it has to look a certain way. And when it doesn't, we think we're screwing it up. And that's just not the case. And so what you're saying is so true. Like, get comfortable being yourself, because that's the only reason people are ever going to buy from you anyway.
Right. And then here's the other thing that really gets me is these big funnels. Like, do we need them? You and I have an event coming up in June.
Yep.
We don't have a big funnel. Here's the sign up sheet. We're going to talk it up. And, but I'm going to caveat that you can't do that if you're a beginner. Everybody's putting the workshop on is pretty established. So we're going to be able to tap and get referrals. But so tell us about these big funnels. Like, I haven't used one since probably 2016. I was just done with them then. I didn't feel like they were effective.
Yeah, I don't do funnels. And I have to tell you, I'm 12 years in now, and we were just talking, about this before we started recording. I love my life. I do well in my business. I love what I'm doing. So I just don't think, I think a network over a funnel wins every time, because when you have a network that knows you, buys into your brand, they're loyal to you, you have trust and that kind of reciprocal relationship with them, that is going to be more effective to your bottom line than any funnel ever. So one thing, I think authors tend to wait to the last minute to get online. And it's like, don't do that, because the minute you start on page 1 of your book, the minute you write the introduction, that is the minute you should be building up your network. And also, again, I think we overcomplicate these things. It's really simple. It's being online and talking to people, having engagement and interactions that are real, that are authentic, where you're talking about what you believe in. And if that is solid, like I said before, people are going to buy in, and you're going to have that. So when you're talking about like, okay, you're a beginner, you're not really established, so it's difficult to get traction. Yeah. And where the focus and energy then should go is in building up your network.
Exactly. So does that mean, I'm going to even caveat that further, networking groups, for the most part, I think are the biggest waste of time. What you need are power partners. Networking group, what's the difference? Networking group, I go and I talk all about myself, and then I try to get you to buy something.
Yeah.
Power partnerships, you get to know people. What are they doing? What are the products? You actually have a relationship.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Okay. So I love that, power partners. I've only heard that from you, but I love that. That's perfect.
That is from the Dames. That's from the Dames. We do power partnerships.
Oh, I love that. Okay. I'm getting in there, by the way. I see, I've had that on my to-do list. So there's my, I don't think I can hire someone to sign me up.
Yeah, it's been more than 2 weeks. So,
okay. So networking, like showing up, especially if it's like an in-person thing where everyone swaps business cards and like, you talk for 30 seconds and they're never going to remember you. You're never going to remember them. The reason is they're not there to buy anything. They're there to sell themselves, right? And so that's their mentality, their whole focus, versus having really even just one-on-one interactions with people where the goal is not to buy or sell anything. It's to get to know somebody and to have a real conversation with them and to build a relationship. We cannot skip that part. Building relationships is the foundation for your network, and it's beneficial to both people involved and to every person involved, because if I get to know you and I get to know that you're really good with publishing and bringing authors to this place where they're ready to hit send, then I'm talking to someone else and they're really struggling, or they're in this place, and I think of you because I know that you can help them, and I trust in what you're doing because I know what you're capable of. So it's like networking in the sense of what it used to be it's not effective, because we're not in the mentality to serve other people and to kind of build this cyclical relationship. Power partners, love that. These one-on-one engagements where it's like, let's get to know each other. And then we, refer people out, which I've referred people to you. You've referred people to me. That is so much more effective. And it's simple. It's simple to start having these conversations with people. I mean, you look on like LinkedIn and Facebook, there are groups you can join, literally people self-identifying that have the same interest as you, or that are in the same market as you. So, just taking those small steps to get out there and establish yourself with people is going to do more, again, than a funnel. I'm with you on funnels. It's like, just don't.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Yeah.
You and I actually got, and I'm not going to say who it was, we got a kick out of somebody's funnel that sort of does what we do, where we jumped into the funnel and we got the free gift and we were like, excuse me, WTF.
Yes.
And then the emails that followed, we were like, whoa, this is like, she actually gets business, which I've talked to her, she really doesn't. But I was going to say, this is how the power partner works. I know, Slam. This is how the power partner works. I found Sara because my good friend Tracy gets great results from Sara. Now, here's the flip side of it. Tracy referred somebody else to me, and I hated him. I literally hated him. And I went back to her and I said, friend to friend, are you getting any business from that? And she's like, yeah, I don't think I am. And she let him go because I was like, he was horrible. All he wanted to do was sell me something.
Again, I mean, if you're like a walking funnel too, that's not going to do anything. So let's don't do that. And actually, you brought up a great point, and I would love to just say, if you're giving away a gift, or that's your kind of in with people is, sign up or join my email newsletter, or whatever that may be, and then you give away a gift that's junk, the chances of me unsubscribing or even marking you as spam, which I do sometimes, are so high, because that's really irritating. You know, it's like you give your time and your attention to something and they give you garbage in return. So if you're thinking about going that route, or you're putting content out there, do not give away junk. And do not try to sell the junk either.
Right. I actually bought, I have to tell you, I'm going to say 2017, I bought a piece of $27 junk. And
Yeah,
not
I've
only
done
was
that.
it junk, but they had me on a list. They were having an event. I kid you not, they called me every day for 30 days. 6 o'clock in the evening, phone rang, they called. And I was like, I didn't give you my phone number for you to harass me as a telemarketer every day to go to your
No.
event. So you have to be really careful about that.
Yes.
So back to the content. So what would you say to people that are saying, I'm going to give away a piece of something and then 7 emails and try to sell you something?
Okay. So sometimes that works, right? If you are more established, right? But your initial give, that initial point of contact has to be so good that I'm going to stick around for it. And, you know, part of that, again, just goes back to knowing who you are and having something good to say. And it's not going to be for everybody. You're not going to be for everybody. I think authors get scared, so they broaden and they broaden and they broaden, when really what they should be doing is minimizing and really getting into that one lane where they're good, where they know what they're talking about, where they're just a full-on expert. They're totally passionate about it. They could sit down and talk to anybody at any time and just walk away feeling like $1 million, right? I did this class one time, and this lady was like helping people figure out their elevator speeches, right? And I was thinking, if you have built a business and you can't sell it in a few minutes time, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, so the email series works. I do that for a lot of clients actually, but it has to be good. You have to be good in your messaging and what you're saying.
Yeah, it really does. So you mentioned though, the niching down, people really avoid that. We work with a lot of psychologists on their books, and the ones that say, oh, I do this, but I do this, and that are like FOMO people. They don't
Yes.
usually
Yeah.
do well. I'll give you, we did a quiz a while back for Sam. I can't think, Samantha. Her name just escapes me, but she has this little bitty niche that is anxiety. And it's, you know, daring to get over anxiety. And she rocks it with it,
I love
because it's that little bitty piece that a lot of people feel, especially during COVID, that she just, so that's another piece of that content, is really narrowing in on what exactly you do, because if you don't, your messaging gets muddled.
It does. It does. And it's so hard to create good content when you're not clear, or you're trying to do too many things or say too many things. I see that all the time. And now that's not to say that you can't grow and expand as you establish yourself, right? So as you become successful and you become well known, maybe you want to write a second book. Maybe you want to kind of venture out into this lane, but it's like, you know, you don't like help people with anxiety and then sell pineapples, right? It still needs to be about quality of life, or like, I still feel like your offering should align on some level. So, you know, take someone like Tony Robbins. He's got a ton of books. He's got a ton of different courses and stuff that he offers, right? Live events, but they're all about finding your purpose and living a better life. So it's like, you know, it's not to say you have to pick this one thing and do it the rest of your life, but like, obviously expand on it and grow it as you grow and establish yourself, but don't do it too soon. And don't try to be two people in one body, because that doesn't work either. And I do see a lot of people do that.
Well, not only that, it's like keeping all those pieces in alignment. Because what I used to see with the funnels, you guys have to remember, from a neuromarketing standpoint, what I'm about to tell you is a huge disconnect. They would have a talk that led to a lead magnet that led to a course, and maybe that piece in the middle, the lead magnet, didn't match up to the course. They had just created it at some point. And you know, when you go to a web page or you go to any piece like that, it's 3 seconds. So, and your mind isn't even telling you like why you're going away sometimes. So it has to be all in alignment with who you are and what your brand is in that. So I think a content specialist can really help you with that as well and say, oh, Juliet, that list is really, you know, it's great, but you know, it doesn't match up with what you do.
Yeah. And you know what? It also, I think we do try to mimic the people that we see, you know, having big success. But what we're not realizing is, you know, especially if we're not on the same level as them, you know, they have a little more leeway to be a little more salesy, or, you know, to use kind of some of that sleazy sales language to get more buy-in, because they've already established their persona. If you don't have that and you try to go that route and mimic that, it's devastating, because people see it, and like you said, that 3 seconds, they're gone. They are out of there.
Well, I mean, look at back when Danielle Laporte did the stickies, like everybody was doing stickies. You're not Danielle Laporte.
No,
like,
yeah, and it's not going to work for you because you're not her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
So, talk about some of the things that you see that people could delegate out in their content.
One thing, I think this is so smart. I love podcasting for this. I love video for this. This video that we're doing right now, once it's done, like from this point, I love when people just hand it over. I think video gets underutilized, and this right here you can turn into, and I know you will do a ton with it because you do, and I help you do that. Turn it into, you know, 20 pieces of content and snackable bits. And I think it's really smart, like delegate from the beginning. Here's a video. I need it transcribed. I need it as an article. I'm going to turn it into 3 emails. I'm going to turn it into, you know, 10 social media posts. So that's number one. Also, when you're thinking about delegating for content, especially, you don't have to have the idea. I have a lot of clients that will come to me and say, I'm not sure what to create. And I can give them ideas and say, let's try something like this and see if it sticks. Let's try something like this. So I'll give them a few options of something that they feel aligns with them. They make a decision and we put it out there. Delegating content, you do. I know I've said it, but I see this all the time. Like people hold off, and I'm like, you should have called me a year ago. We could have really had you, you know, online and visible and getting your message out there. And they're like, I wasn't ready because I didn't have any ideas about what I wanted to write. And, you know, I wanted to start a blog, and blogs are amazing for SEO ranking and for Google. I mean, they really are. So you don't have to have all that. Like delegating should be easy. It's not another task for you. So when you find the right person, hand over what you can. I think it's a control thing too. And I'm sure you've seen that, you know, well, it's like they don't want to let go.
I've lived that. So let's take an example here real quick, because you brought up that you do mine. So I record this podcast. First piece of content break is I send this to Sara, because this particular one is going to be a feature in Breakthrough Author Magazine. So I send this recording to Sara. She writes the article. Second point, I send this off to Podetize, who transcribes, puts it on all the platforms as a YouTube video, puts it on all of the podcast platforms. But then when you and I work together, I also send Tracy's finished product to you every month, and you write a social media post and you write an article for LinkedIn as well. So we've just repurposed that how many times?
That's what I'm saying. There's so much life to content. And I think sometimes it does feel overwhelming because we think, well, I already used that. So, you know, everything has multiple use. Everything is multi-use. So you have to like get the most out of that content, because that's your time. It takes time. It takes time to create these videos. It takes time, you know, if you're not doing video, you're doing audio, anything you write, like, and if you work with a content specialist, they will tell you, I can use this again and take it from a different angle, you know? So yeah, you got to get the most out of the content.
Yeah. And Sara actually does cute stuff, like puts emoji in. And if you ask my children, I have party emoji. I guess I use the Asian. Okay. I don't use the white hand. My kids I didn't know. I just did the first one, and happy faces. So, and
I use
laugh out loud.
this one a lot. That this is like the praying hands, you
Oh,
know.
thank
And
you. Yeah.
I just found out that's high five.
What?
So
This
yeah.
is high five?
yeah.
Oh, I use it for thank you all the time. And
Yes,
praying.
me too. I know.
Oh.
I guess I don't. We're old. I don't know.
Well, at least I use the white folks. Thank you, not the.
Right.
And
Okay.
when my kids
well,
die laughing, they're like, "Mom, that's for Asian people." Like, I'm diverse.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
I'm
That's awesome.
senile and old and don't know the difference, so I'm diverse.
Well, it's like nobody ever told us. I didn't know. But my
Right?
teenagers schooled me. Yeah, they're like, that's a high fiving. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
The only thing I haven't had the opportunity to use is the new pregnant man. I have no idea how I would even.
I didn't know there was one.
Yeah.
Oh, well, now I'm going to use it all the time.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure I'll get them. And we will not go into the comments around it. I have a theory about that. Okay, so Sarah.
Yes.
You've alienated my entire audience. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. My apologies in advance.
So where can we find you if we want to find out more about your services and what you do?
Okay, so you can obviously, if you're savvy on LinkedIn, look me up. I'm Sara Burke, HLCC.me. That's my website. Everything is on there. That kind of shows you what I do. And if it's not on there, feel free to shoot me a message and ask through the website. There's a little contact form. Anything content, I do everything. I mean, I used to just tell people like I write articles and I do emails and I do this, but if it's content related, there's a chance that I'm already doing that for numerous clients. So don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Juliet.